Hey guys, welcome back to another SUPboarder review. In this week we'll be looking at the Sunova Style 9'6" performance longboard. Sunova are a surf and SUP brand with arguably one of the best surf shapers in the world, Bert Berger, steering them and designing all their boards in their range. And this is one of their performance-based longboard surf SUPs that comes in specifications of 9'6" long, 27.5 inches wide, 3 7/8 inches thick, 112 litres, and it weighs 8.5 kilograms. And it retails at £1,365. General overview shape of the board, it's a relatively mid-length board at 9'6" long, quite thin in the thickness and also in the width, a square nose with a more pulled in pintail. The fin setup, it comes in a 2+1 fin setup. The deck pad is a full 5-piece deck pad, and the materials of the board, it's an EPS foam core wrapped with a balsa and glass outer shell, carbon rails right throughout the board. The top of the board is slightly different to the bottom in it's got a black scratched inlay of resin that's indented into the balsa wood, and there's also a cherry wood veneer on the fin plates. Who's this board aimed at? This board is aimed at a good intermediate to advanced SUP surfer that really wants that longboard performance-based feel of their board. Moving on to the SUPboarder impressions, it's very similar look. In fact, it's exactly the same look and style as finish as the speed board we tested earlier in the year. Incredibly well finished, looks very hard wearing, quite stylish with the balsa and the inlaid resin. Carbon rails, as we said before, the carbon rails with the silver paint that they put on the side, very good at covering paddle marks and paddle dings. You can't really see if you've had any or not, so that's a really good feature on these boards. The 5-piece deck pad, super grippy and really nice to have. A slight bit of breaking out of the deck pad so you can feel where you are. Nice kicker at the back, right at the back of the tail in a very good position, so that all works well. Moving on to the lift up SUP handle, which is a bit of a new one. Some people have, if you haven't used it, it's a very easy system to use. As I said before in another video, you can put your paddle in alongside it when you're walking down the beach. Really nice, fits away, doesn't seem to be a problem when you're surfing. Also comes with a windsurf attachment. We haven't used it for windsurfing, but it will probably go quite well, to be honest. Windsurfing, inbuilt pressure valve there. As we can see by the outline shape of the board, it's quite a parallel shaped board with quite a square nose. Offers you a lot of stability right up to the nose, and then moving back towards the tail, a nice pulled in tail to help that turnability and really so you can crank that board around. Looking at the rocker line of the board, which is the curve at the bottom of the board, it's got a nice little amount of nose kick there so it doesn't catch when you're paddling over white water or in slight chop. Moving back, quite a flat midsection which is there to generate a lot of speed, and a nice healthy amount of tail kick, which again is to help you move and then maneuver and crank that board around in the turns. So very nice looking rocker line. Looking across the bottom shape of the board, if we take our square edge, the nose of the board has a gentle concave which pretty much continues throughout the most of the board. Even at the midsection, you think a double concave is going to come out, but it's still very gentle single concave all the way back right into the fins, where it gets a little bit more exaggerated, but it's a very subtle concave throughout the board. So the bottom shape's very simple on this board, just hold a little bit of water throughout the midsection to produce quite a bit of speed, but really Bert's done a lot more work on the rails, which we'll talk about in a minute. Moving back and looking at the fins, we have a 2+1 setup, so that's a US box center fin and 2 FCS side fins. The fins are all very good quality and finished off very well and seem in a very good positioning in the board. The US box 2 in the center gives you a lot of movement so you can play with the board, put the fin forward and back to ride it as you would like. Now going back to the rails, because this board is generally quite thin, I mean 3 7/8 thick, it's not a thick board. So what he's done is kept the volume right to the edge of the rail, so you have a slightly boxier rail. If you feel these boards, you can easily feel what I mean, and then the rail just bevels away quite quickly. By doing that, the whole board is thinner, so then the rails can generally be thinner and aimed at a more performance, more grip. The tail of the board, the rails are super thin. They're probably the same thickness as you find on some more performance sort of 7.5, sort of real small sort of surf SUPs. Which this does, it gives an incredible amount of grip on the wave. It means that you can ride a wide size range of wave sizes, and you will not pop out. You will have a lot of grip on the wave face the whole time. Looking at the performance of the Sunova Style 9'6". Now on the flat water, when you start paddling it, it is a little bit wobblier than if you're not used to sort of a traditional sort of 10 foot by 29 sort of thickness board. Because this is 27 wide, it does take a little bit for getting used to. 112 litres, it is down there on the smaller size volume for the size of the board. So it takes you a little bit getting used to, but actually it does ride and get over chop and absolutely paddle out absolutely fine when you're used to it. Catching the wave or paddling on the wave, the first thing you know is it can catch anything, and the amount of glide this has got is unbelievable. Probably due to the very slight single concave throughout the board and the quite parallel rails, makes it very easy to paddle in on the wave, and it makes you be able to catch absolutely anything. On a wave, this board is super happy surfing multiple size waves from knee high to about head and a half. We surfed it, but I reckon it would probably take a bigger surf. You could probably, if you're a slightly bigger guy, you could probably even surf this into double overhead, maybe even a tiny bit bigger. Probably due down to the rail shape and the rocker line, and also the slight single concave on the bottom. It's incredibly lively, feels very fast, and it's a 9'6" board, but it really feels like you're more surfing an 8 foot, an 8'3", something like that. So it's a really good test. If you surf a board that is a larger board, but it feels smaller on the wave, that is a really good sign of a good quality shaped board that really works well. Completely happy in really sort of flat, mushy waves, and also very happy in steeper, faster sections. It really can hold a good edge and doesn't bog or nosedive at any point. Due to its quite parallel shape and quite square nose, it's very happy for you to walk up and down the board. Even if you're not that good at walking up and down the board, it will take you up there, and you'll be able to plant your feet up there on the nose, and the best guys would be easily hanging 10 on this sort of style board. Who do we think this board's best suited for? I think weight-wise it's going to be about 55 kg to 85 kg rider. At a good level SUP surfing, but not really good, but it will take you up to that exceptionally good level. I do not think you would outgrow this sort of surf SUP. If you are after a longboard feel, you can't really go wrong. So of an intermediate rider to an advanced rider of 55 to 85 kg. Negatives or downsides, this board is an exceptionally well shaped longboard surf SUP. The only negative we found is, and with a few of the riders that we tested it with, it is over finned with the current fin setup it has. The side bite fins, the two FCSs on the side are okay, but the centre fin is just too big and it's too swept back for what it wants to do. If you put yourself a 7" in there, a little bit more vertical upright, the board does change and it becomes even more whippier on the turns. So that's something to look into. Move, change the fins around, have a look at the OS box, get a smaller fin in that. The overall SUPboarder verdict, you can tell this has been designed by one of the world's best surf shapers, because it does exactly what it should do. It is a very nice performance-based longboard that will be completely happy in small mushy waves up to the bigger solid sort of surf you're looking for. If you're into performance SUP surfing or longboard performance SUP surfing, this board is an absolute gem. If you have any questions about this board or other boards we tested, leave them in the comment section below and we'll get back to you. And for other great SUP news, videos and all-round reviews, head to SUPboardermag.com.